Good morning, everybody. Wow. So we have a very awesome team here this morning, and we're going to talk about growing our own. And what's really cool when we're looking at this subject here is that we're going to be I'm so COVID conscious. Like, okay. We're looking at barriers and how they appear in our lives. They appear in different ways. My name is Jason Johnson Sr., and I've been with TCC for going on 8 years now, with an additional year as a student. And with family services and support, I started out in behavioral health, moved to wellness, and now I'm in tribal client services. And so it's just great to be here. We're going to start over on this side, and everybody can introduce themselves.
I'm Bev Madross. I work with Head Start.
My name is Isaac Pettis, and I am the program coordinator for the TCC Go program.
My name is Amanda Race. I'm with Tribal Vocational Rehabilitation, and I also oversee the Infant Learning Program.
My name is Evelyn Ikata, and I'm the Employment and Training Coordinator at TCC.
My name is Ted Jones Jr., and I'm an ASAP case manager for the TANF program.
Thank you, everybody. When we're looking at barriers, they introduce themselves in different ways in our lives. Sometimes they're developmental. Sometimes they have to do with access, whether or not there's an opportunity to be able to have awareness, have education on different things. Barriers present themselves in different ways, but there's also different ways that we can address those barriers. That way, they're not things that prevent ourselves to. That way, there are ways that we're able to address them. That way, they can be either climbed, they can be removed completely, or we can just learn how we can address them. One of those things sometimes might be where getting interventions. Sometimes it requires people in our lives. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's family members, grandparents. It might even be that teacher. How many of us in this room today can think about somebody in our life that probably was instrumental and revealed something to you, showed something to you, called out the champion that was in you, called out the warrior that was in you to make you, that allowed you to come into this room today? I can think of about a few people really in my life that's really just been influential or instrumental in my life to get me to realize something, to learn something about myself. And eventually it just caused me to reach to another level in my understanding of myself, my understanding of where I come from. My family comes from Memphis, Tennessee, but then learning about how much it's deeper my roots were and how much deeper the people were that were before me and how it got me to be where I am today and how it got to be where I learned how to be an advocate because my great grandmother was an advocate, because my grandmother was an advocate, because my mom was an advocate. And so I always call myself a fourth generation advocate because of what they've done before me. So I can think about those people that came before me and how it taught me to learn how to live my life. Some of those things that present themselves, those barriers, can be addressed. Sometimes it comes with the program. Sometimes it comes with having that teacher that caused us, that challenged us, or it might even be that coach in our life that told us to go one more lap, or that person that told us to do 5 more push-ups, or that person that told us to carry that over that hill over there. It's amazing what happens. And so when looking at this panel that's assembled before you today, this group of people are going to talk about some of the services that they provide that help people recognize a barrier and then meet them where they're at to be able to address that barrier. And so we're going to start with Bev.
Okay, good morning. I'm Bev Madross, originally from Caltech. I work in Head Start practically all my life. No, I'm kidding. I'm the daughter of the late Franklin Madras Sr. and Anna, and I'm also the grandmother of Zoe, who helps me be grounded and want to do a better job than I have ever done. My story begins in Caltech, and I'm take a deep breath. In the little log cabin at the Head Start program, which is called Sakai Sudalat, where children play. I got hired in 1989 in February. My daughter was not 3, so she didn't go to school. And with no prior training or anything, I was at the Head Start as the teacher assistant. But the only thing that I knew how to do was play and love. And amazingly, that carried me for a long time to be a teacher. And you walk into the Head Start building, in any of our buildings, and you feel safe, secure, and loved. And that's what we strive for each day when we open the door to our school. And our program works with teachers, teacher assistants, cooks, subs throughout our region. And the orientation is pretty intensive. We do a lot of talking the first 2.5 days, and then the CPR training takes most of it. So we try to get the staff to, to see what the program is about. One of the biggest barriers for staff hire is passing the background check. TCC does a good job that when you hire people that they pass the background check. So we have candidates that aren't able to but want to. And so, yeah, most of my training, because it was a long time ago, before internet, before Facebook, before Zoom, I took classes over on the telephone. It wasn't like I was able to engage with my professor or my classmates. It's just over the phone, and you're writing papers, attending, taking those classes and applying it to your everyday class in the Head Start. And the thing about going to school and doing the job at the same time is you get to utilize what you're learning right away and figuring out, well, maybe that learning method, maybe that teaching method doesn't work for this child. So it's a lot of individualizing for your students in the Head Start program, in any program. If you have a lesson plan that everyone is going to do, then you need to think about how your teacher's teaching style is, because everyone is different. You look at those babies chronologically, they're all 3 and 4s, but they're at different developmental levels. So you adjust your lesson plans. And we have people at central office that train our staff into writing lesson plans, taking weekly phone calls, individualizing. If they have an individual education plan, which is for 3 to 5-year-olds with the school district, then you go through that one with them. But the families are involved, and that's where I work. I work with family services in the Head Start program, and we advocate, empower, and support our families into doing that journey with their child and any of the things that we do with them, writing goals. I can't judge if I talk loud, so I don't know if it's louder when I go closer or should I stay? So writing goals with the families and supporting them is the biggest thing. And you do that in that little Head Start in Caltech. You form partnerships with whomever is in your village, whether it be meeting with the Caltech Wellness Team, which I was a part of, meeting at the school, or going to the tribal council meetings, you know, and so you have a wraparound services so families are aware of all the different programs that is being offered, either in the tribal level, or maybe there's something else going on in the school. So I enjoy that part of my job. And because I'm a people person, some things come easy for people that like to be with people. But people that are shy, it's a little bit different. But I like to be around people. I like to hear about them. I like to talk about our Head Start program because that's who I am. I feel like it's, I think we deliver services throughout our program that is a stepping stone for the kids' education. And it really is good. So about 40% of our educators are taking college classes. So there's a big push for them to get their AAS degree in early childhood education. So a lot of them are single moms like me. A lot of them work full time, and a lot of them are taking classes. And they still go to work every day with a smile on their face, looking at the lesson plans and doing great things in the classroom with their children. And it's a wonderful experience. It's been a little bit different with COVID. Our training was gotten a little bit different, and we got a little bit better in trying to deliver services through Zoom. Some of our staff have to use telephone because they don't have internet access. But when you're delivering services through Zoom or training, you have to know your stuff. I mean, you're talking with your staff, you know, asking questions, setting aside a little agenda so you can ask questions, they answer, and then, well, how about if you do it this way? Have you tried this way? How has the children responded, you know, and stuff like that. And I can't say enough about the people that work over at 5th floor, my Head Start family. I'm thankful, I'm blessed to be working with our people, with our staff that work really hard, and with the central office staff that help teach, guide, and mentor our staff in the rural communities to do a wonderful job, because our children deserve that. And is my 5 minutes up? Because I had one more thing. Well, actually, I have a lot of things, but Jill, who is our health, safety, and person over at TCC Head Start, we sent out the Arrow Gardens, which is a little thing, and we're planting tomatoes right now with the kids, and they're watching that and seeing it grow. And we're also in the summertime doing summer gardens, so they're doing great things. And I think I think I'm done. Right, Jason?
Awesome, Bev. Thank you. Isaac?
Good morning, everyone. Like I said, my name is Isaac Pettis. I am the program coordinator for the TCC Go program. I've worked for Tanana Chiefs for 2 years and for the Go program for that entire time. The TCC Go program, or the TCC Growing Our Own program, is for high school students, Native Alaska high school students in the TCC region. Our intention is to increase graduation rates among the population and to help them develop a career pathway after high school, so that they have some idea about what they might want to do once they get out of high school. Some of the things we are doing, one of the things we're doing right now is we have a partnership with Effie Cochran Charter School and the UAF College of Business and Security Management, called the UAF Career Explorers. There's a cohort of students there at Effie that are taking a class in addition to their regular high school studies that's getting them dual credit through UAF and Effie Cochran. And that class is giving them some career exploration options, giving them some professional development instruction, and we plan to expand that to rural districts, to at least one rural district next year. That's not completely sorted out, but that's at least our intention. In that case, we would have the kids would be coming into town for a week or two at a time and doing intensive study to get those university credits. For our students throughout the TCC region, we provide them with some career exploration options. As you can imagine, we started this program 2 years ago. My start date was March 30th of 2000. So given what was going on in March of 2020, we had to change sort of our delivery methods. But we provide some career exploration through virtualjobshadow.com, where students can do some lessons related to career exploration, and they can earn a stipend for completing those lessons. We also produce some interviews with various folks that work at Chief Andrew Isaac in lots of different roles that students can watch and do some worksheets related to earn a stipend for that as well. Those videos can be viewed on the TCC website. If you look under the TCC Go program, you can find those interviews there. We also provide students with free tutoring. That tutoring is conducted virtually, so they can, if they're in a remote village, they can still access that. That tutoring can be for any high school class that they're in, and up to any 100 level university course if they are electing to take a university course while they're in high school. We also will pay for a student if a high school student wants to take a UAF course, or any college course for that matter, that will get them credit at the university level and the high school level. We will pay for that class. We will pay for any books and fees that those students might incur, and we will provide that student with a stipend once they complete that course with a passing grade. For any students that want to do ACT or SAT prep, that think that they might want to take that test, we will provide them with self-directed instruction for that. Given all of our stuff has sort of moved to remote delivery, we understand that internet, especially in remote parts of the TCC region, is pretty expensive and difficult to obtain. Given that for any student who is enrolled in the program and who is actively participating in some sort of aspect of what we offer, we can provide their family with an internet reimbursement for up to, I think, $300 per month while they are engaged in the program. We do have the intention to expand the program to middle school students, although that's not yet set in stone. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to call me. My extension is 3049. And that'll do it for me.
Thank you. Chief McGinty.
Thank you. I had a comment regarding Beverly's presentation there. Like her, I've been an advocate for students in education practically all of my life. And the thing that I noticed the most at New Lotto, since the COVID came into play, our Head Start stopped having classes in groups, you know, down at the school. And in that process, parents, grandparents, elders, and community members stopped. They did not go into the classroom to admire the kids' work on a monthly basis, have monthly gatherings and lunch together. All those things have stopped. But more importantly, I talked with the teachers just last month because I sit on the CSC at New Lotto, and I questioned the kindergarten teachers, at what level is our Head Start coming in? And they said that right now, those kids are coming in at 0 level. In compared to 3 years ago, they were able to tell colors, numbers, and a little bit about their name, so on and so forth. So there's a little bit drop in that area. And I think a lot of it is just due to the fact that the now teachers who are working at Head Start in New Lotto have to do home visits. And they don't come together and visit and share and talk and all the fun things, socializing. And I think it's a very important part of our growth, because one of the YKSD's long-term goal is for our students to be reading and writing by 3rd grade. And so the Head Start coming in, knowing these little things, helps them to reach that goal when they reach kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So with that being said, you know, I appreciate what Head Start and Tanana Chiefs are doing. I would really look forward to seeing when they could come back into the classroom as a group and socialize and learn together and involve the community on a monthly basis just to admire and share the children's work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief McGinty. All right, Amanda.
Hi. So the Voc Rehab program has been here at TCC for, I believe, over 25 years. We are a very discreet program. We work with people with disabilities. That can be a very humbling and confidential piece of a person's life, whether they've had a snow machine accident and now have a traumatic brain injury. They may have lost a limb due to diabetes, or they have developed rheumatoid arthritis, or they were born with a disability, whether it was fetal alcohol, autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy. Those are the population of folks that we work with in the service area. So again, my name is Amanda Race. I've been with the agency for about 23 years and 14 years with Voc Rehab. I know I've asked for letters of support in the past from many of you, and we did receive a resolution in 2019 to write another 5-year grant, and we anticipate on doing that again in 2024. So our goal for Voc Rehab is to improve an individual's ability to engage in either subsistence activities, seasonal employment, or self-employment. We want to remove barriers to those employment outcomes, whether it's financial and access to other services, maybe Access Alaska, or maybe someone has come to us with a substance abuse problem, and we would help refer them to a treatment center, whether it's Rough Purdue or Outside or Old Minto. Again, we're wanting to help people be successful in their employment outcome so that they can become more self-sufficient for themselves, for their families, and to help their villages. We did work this last summer with 2 different individuals and contracted with mentors in their home village to help build a smokehouse, a cache, and to finish a small cabin. All these items help make them more self-sufficient, more independent, help them gain those independent skills, and to help themselves and their communities. We can help buy traps, fishing nets, gently used equipment. We do have specific financial restrictions on some of our purchases. Everyone is individualized. Everyone has their own individual plan for employment, and no two should look alike. The other plug I'd like to make is for our infant learning program. That program continued to support families in the service area with newborns birth to 36 months. I've left brochures and flyers out at the front table with Maureen and Paul. And also our vocational rehab brochure is out there. I have 2 staff that are back at the office, Philip Albert Jr. and Rita Eaglehead. And between the 3 of us, we try the best we can to keep private those people with disabilities and to help them be more successful. So we appreciate any self-referrals, or if you have a family member in crisis or not knowing what to do, please give us a call. My extension is 3232. Philip is at 3323, and Rita is at extension 3329. Gina Pope is the coordinator for infant learning program. Her extension is 3176, and she has a staff named Lori Markkinen, who's been with our company almost a year or over a year. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to my peer because I know we're running short. Are there any questions?
Okay, good morning. I am Evelyn Ikata, and I am a Nulato tribal member. I am the Employment and Training Coordinator at TCC. In our department right now, we currently have 2 of us, myself and Lenora Rideout, who is the program assistant. So within our department, we provide trainings to the tribal members that out in the villages or that reside here in town. The way our program works is that we are income-based for adults, and we have an application that we send out. Lenora sends out to anyone that requests our assistance. We do trainings, we provide work care assistance, we provide resume assistance, we provide rental assistance, we do tuition and books for some IAC classes. What else we do? We do training, group trainings, individual trainings. We provide, like driver's education. We do it individually, or I know some villages request the driver's education in their villages. I've been working with the local driving school here in Fairbanks to try to get them out into the village, into one village that gave me a request last year and beginning of this year. So I've been working on that. We have a couple flaggers trainings coming up in April. We have one scheduled for here in Fairbanks on April 4th, and we have one in the Tok area on April 6th. So those are 2 trainings I have coming up, and we have another one where we're partnering with Alaska Native Renewable Industries. They're doing a solar panel installation training here in Fairbanks. It was originally scheduled for next week, but they postponed it to May, and that'll be here in Fairbanks. So those emails, when we get trainings, Lenora usually sends it out to all the tribal administrators and tribal staff to post within your villages. And we ask people, if you're interested, fill out the application. We can see what we can provide. Our program is all funding based, so it depends on how much funding we have available. Like we assist with the rouseabout. We just did one in November, and we did another one in February where we assist tribal members with their travel, their food per diem, their hotel, and we partner with Doyon, DDI and Doyon Limited. So with that training. So if a village, out there have a specific training that they may want in their village or may want to host one here in Fairbanks or Anchorage, just give us a call at Employment and Training at TCC. Lenora Rideout, her extension is 3172, or my extension is 3231. And I also want to make known that we have 2 open vacancies within our department. So if you know of any tribal members that are interested in working for TCC, please go to the website and fill out for one of our positions. We have employment and training specialist position, and we have a trades and training specialist position. So again, if you have any questions or any concerns or any kind of training requests, don't hesitate to give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll work with your tribe to see what we can do, research if we need to, and find a trainer that may possibly travel out to the villages, because as a problem we come across is trying to find trainers coming out of Fairbanks or Anchorage that's willing to travel to a village for to host a training. So but yeah, don't hesitate to give us a call and give us your requests. And thanks for the time for providing to us today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ted Jones Jr. and
Chief McGinty.
Training and can they offer the flaggers training in the village?
Yes, they can. I did Nolado last spring in May, and we had 2 classes down there. I can definitely talk to the trainers, and I can schedule another one. Just got to send me an email request, and I will work with them. It's age 18. They start at 18. So, and we can have they can have a class up to 15 tribal members. So if any villages out there that want to have a flaggers training in their community, just shoot me an email or give me a call and I will work with them and set it up.
Hello again, my name is Ted Jones Jr. and I am an ASAP case manager for the TANF group. And you're probably thinking that's a lot of acronyms to be thrown out right away. So I figured I would just explain what ASAP actually was. And that's at the Baskin Self-Sufficiency Assistance. Then TANF means Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. So I've been at TCC for just over 3.5 years working in this position. And the way it works is when someone applies for the TANF program, which by the state standard, it is considered a cash program or a welfare program. I don't like the word welfare because it puts a label on them right away. It is a cash program to help assist families in a temporary scenario. And the way it works is they apply for temporary assistance and then they see me after they're approved. And my goal is to help them get back into the working world. Now, when I first started at TCC, the goal was when they got to me, I was just to put them back in the working force. And through all my different trainings, through working at Graft Treatment Center, Fairbanks Youth Facility, I could see that trend was not going to work. You were taking somebody that was down on their luck and in a horrible situation where they needed assistance. And then we were trying to just throw them right back into the workforce to have them have a boss that they couldn't handle at that time. So I went to the boss and I asked them if we could possibly change the program to be more family oriented, to change how they they live their life, figure it out, because there is some kind of barrier that they have. And they would apply and I would go through. And so we ended up calling it a family plan. And then it became a work plan after that. So I would sit down with the client and then with their kid, and we would go over the program and how to get them back into the working world. What were the barriers? Do they have substance abuse? Are they scared to talk to people? Do they not like doing certain jobs? And filling that void and trying to get them back into a positive light, because temporary assistance, they're basically, it could be the last resource when it comes to needing help. So I wanted to make sure to get them out from rock bottom back into the positive environment and helping their community. So some of my plans consist of spending more time with kids, because when they hit the temporary assistance program, a lot of times their kids are secondary thought on what was happening. So I needed to build that barrier back up with their kids in a positive way, get them more involved with them in school, doing homework with them, taking them out, doing subsistence stuff like berry picking, salmon. And so that was part of their program. So instead of forcing them to apply for 20 different jobs in a month, I was having them spend time in their community and building a relationship with the community at the time. And then that brings in life skills. It gets them involved with the village and wherever they're from. So we started doing that for a while and it was working. And then they get to a point where it is time to step into that working world. And we have a program called GILA. It means let's go. And it is a program that we bring all the TANF clients here and we do a training that is basically work oriented when they are ready. And we have at the end, we offer subsidized employment. And that is something that TCC pays 6 months of their employment. So a lot of you might know on the council in the different villages that a client will go back and basically create a position for themselves for 6 months that TCC pays for. Now with my clients, I ask them to go back and figure out what the need is for their village that they're at. Create a position that's going to help the village out in a positive way. So with that being said, we really push the substance life, the village style life of getting them involved in the community. And that's with each program, it can be anywhere from, I've worked with the client for like 6 months on just getting back with the family. And it could be anywhere from 2 months. It just depends on how motivated that client is. To kind of give an example, I want to give a little story of one of the clients that I had that came in and how the new program kind of switched. It's the same program, new style of thinking. The client came in, she was crying. She couldn't figure out what was going on. Here, she got some bad luck. She lost 3 of her fingers. She was down on her luck. She met a guy. She blacked out and the OCS came and took her kid. And the kid was gone. She woke up. She had no idea what was happening. So she came to our 5th floor wanting help. Now, in a normal situation, she would have applied for our program and we would have just had her go to work. But this was the first client that we decided to try this family first. So I created a program. I created a plan with her of how to basically get her kid back the whole time. And I knew because she had trauma, she just lost her 3 fingers. So there was that mindset of people are judging her because she has 3 fingers. She doesn't have any, she lost her kid. So she was motivated to get her kid back. And I created a plan that had her do a sign in and out sheet everywhere she went, whether it was AA, NA. She came to our 5th floor every single day. And I talked to her for probably about an hour every single day. And she worked with all of our staff. And it progressed and we got her applied for Social Security disability. We got her childcare. We used all the resources on our 5th floor and got her in a way to where when we went to court, and which I attended because I didn't want to just say, go do this by yourself, because court is very scary when you're dealing with OCS. OCS is one that the judge seems to side on unless you have your facts. So I went with the client to OCS, to the courtroom, and we had a document of probably 40 sign in and out papers for her for what she's been doing. The judge looked at OCS and asked what they're doing. And then the judge asked me what her plan was. And I went up there and I showed them everything that client has done. And the judge looked back at OCS and says, you guys have done nothing. You are going to get this kid back within 24 hours, because they were trying to manipulate the system and say she wasn't doing anything. And I knew that was the case. And with the TANF program, if we didn't switch our thought process on this, we wouldn't have been able to help her. She would have just went through the system and probably still wouldn't have her kid back. But it just takes that one extra person to get involved and ride the whole wave with them from rock bottom to the way they are now. Now that client is working full time, is positive in the community, and she is not embarrassed about losing her 3 fingers. And she has been sober for, I do believe, 2 years now. So it's a great story. And right now with the TANF program, our numbers are down. And I would like to think it's because we kind of changed our program around to make it so they're involved with the community. But that is the newer temporary assistance, but still following the state policies. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing your experiences and what you've been working with the clients and helping people out and meeting people where they're at. Is there anybody that has any questions or comments, additional questions or comments?